Cacao built the Maya Empire. Nobody talks about the people who grew it. Most of us learned that cacao was sacred to the Maya. Religious ceremonies required it. Kings demanded tribute in cacao beans. The beans themselves became currency. They held real value. So we assume the Maya who grew cacao were compensated, respected, integral to society, valued for their labor. This makes sense. It's the narrative we inherit, but the evidence suggests something else entirely. Let's start with what we know for certain. Cacao grew only in specific regions of Mesoamerica, the Yucatan Peninsula, parts of what is now Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras. The plant demanded precise conditions, rich soil, consistent rainfall, shade from taller trees. Not every Maya farmer could grow it. This created a bottleneck, limited supply, controlled access. The implications ripple outward. By the Classic period, around 600 to 900 CE, cacao had become the engine of Maya wealth. Archaeological evidence from tomb sites shows cacao residue in elite drinking vessels. The Codex Madrid and other surviving texts reference cacao in tribute records. Kings collected it, merchants traded it, but who actually planted the seeds, pruned the trees, harvested the pods? The records don't name them. Here's where the narrative cracks. Spanish colonial documents from the 16th century onward describe the cacao trade as it existed under Maya and then Aztec control. These aren't perfect sources. They're written by conquerors, but they contain details about labor structure. Cacao farming wasn't a small-scale family operation. It required coordinated effort, multiple workers, sustained across seasons. The real picture emerges when we cross-reference these colonial accounts with pre-Columbian settlement patterns. Archaeologists have mapped ancient Maya villages. The distribution isn't random. In cacao-growing regions, population density increased in specific zones, clusters of small structures, limited domestic variation. The layout suggests a working population organized for production, not settlement by choice. And here's the crucial detail. In Maya society, a clear class system existed. Nobility, merchants, scribes, farmers, slaves. The Spanish documents describe tribute obligations, but they also describe something harder to categorize: a population bound to cacao lands, not quite enslaved in the chattel sense, but not free to leave, obligated to the state's demand for cacao. The numbers tell a story. A single elite household in a major Maya city could consume hundreds of cacao beans per year. The royal court, thousands. Ceremonial events burned through supplies. Wars required cacao as trade goods for alliance building, and yet production had to remain stable, predictable, abundant. This wasn't luxury farming. It was industrial agriculture, Maya style. Paleoecological studies add another layer. Researchers analyzing pollen cores from ancient cacao-growing regions found evidence of intensive land management, deforestation in specific patterns, selective clearing, replanting cycles. This wasn't casual cultivation. Someone was managing these lands with agricultural knowledge. Someone was directing the labor. Someone benefited. Now the dismantling begins. We've been taught that the Maya valued cacao so highly that those who grew it must have held status. Sacred bean, sacred labor, but sacredness and exploitation aren't opposites. They coexist. A society can revere an object while devaluing those who produce it. Consider the evidence from famine records. During periods of drought, and the Maya experienced several severe ones, cacao production didn't stop. It was maintained, redirected, rationed. But the general population suffered. Food stores were depleted. Corn production fell. Yet elite cacao consumption continued. The commodity was protected. The people who grew it were not. The real story is this. Maya cacao farmers weren't celebrated artisans. They were an extracted labor force, bound to the land, required to produce, controlled by a state system that valued the bean far more than the bean grower. Their names were never recorded. Their individual stories erased. They were infrastructure. The colonial documents hint at their conditions: work assignments tied to specific seasons, harvest demands that intensified during dry periods, rotation systems that suggest constant labor pressure, no mention of compensation beyond subsistence, no record of choice in occupation. This wasn't craftsmanship. It was obligation. What makes this matter now? Because we still tell this story wrong. The Maya civilization is celebrated for its achievements: mathematics, astronomy, art, writing, architecture, all built on a foundation of controlled agricultural labor. The glory and the exploitation aren't separable. They are the same system. This pattern repeats throughout history. We marvel at Roman aqueducts while forgetting the enslaved laborers who built them. We admire Egyptian pyramids while ignoring the organized workforce that constructed them. We celebrate ancient civilizations while erasing the ordinary people whose labor made those civilizations possible. The cacao farmer in a Maya village around 750 CE woke before dawn, walked to the cacao grove, tended the trees, harvested the pods, fermented the beans, delivered them to collectors, received nothing that distinguished him from any other farmer. No ceremony, no gratitude, no record of his existence, just obligation repeated for a lifetime. His labor fed an empire, literally and metaphorically. Cacao provided wealth, status, and spiritual meaning to the elite. The beans moved through the system, upward, always upward. But the farmer remained fixed. His contribution was essential. His recognition was nil. We don't have his name. We don't have his voice. We have only the traces, the settlement patterns, the pollen cores, the colonial records, the silence in the hieroglyphic texts. From these fragments, we can reconstruct a truth the celebratory narratives avoid. The Maya Empire was built on agricultural extraction. Cacao was valuable. The people who grew it were not. This is the unseen labor, not invisible because we lack evidence, invisible because we've chosen to look away, to celebrate the empire, the art, the achievement, to ignore the foundation it rested on, the farmer who had no choice, who left no record, who made everything possible. Subscribe. Every week, we uncover the ordinary people whose labor built the civilizations we thought we knew.